not easy to get access to the services that you need. And how do we provide that in a way that provides for the easy connector to make it work for everyone that's involved? Wounded Warrior is incredibly important. Of the unemployment rate, that's the highest category. It's in the 90s. The Guard and Reserve is number 2. And I'm in Iowa this weekend. The unemployment rate among the Iowa Guard is 47%, the highest among any state. There are jobs in Iowa. There may not be job growth, but there are jobs in Iowa that turn over. And giving the ability for people to understand that that exists and then providing that easy connector is very important. So as you all work on this, what I would challenge you to think about, just as we're trying to do, is the Wounded Warrior has to be at the epicenter. But then there's rings outside of that. And the Guard is having a huge challenge as they come back because of the fact that they may not be interconnected back in. I believe that if every company in America said, of the new hires that we have, our aspirational goal will be to try and get to 10%, being those that come from the military community, spouses, those who are serving today, those who have served, and Wounded Warriors, we would be in a place where we could accomplish what the Secretary has said. Thanks for allowing me to address you.
Thanks very much, David. And again, I appreciate your help and your support in the effort, and I know we'll look forward to working closely with you as we go forward. Next, I wanted to ask Christy Bell to make some comments. Christy is the Executive Vice President for Horizon Blue Cross in New Jersey, a veteran himself, and who has taken a great interest and effort in supporting me and Magellan in this process going forward. Christy?
Thank you, Doctor, and to our distinguished secretaries and members of Congress and Governor Malloy, it is a pleasure to be here. And Dr. Lair, we very much appreciate the opportunity. As reflecting back 40 years ago, I was a young lieutenant on a nuclear missile crew, deputy commander of a nuclear missile crew. And as I transitioned into healthcare, I was asked what skill sets I brought. And I said, well, intellectually, I was committed to turning a key and wiping out an entire city. I'm not sure how that qualified me for healthcare, but we managed to move forward. And I represent a group here today who aren't doing enough, openly admit that, and are here to connect. We are committed. We want to get connected. Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield has 5,500 employees in 5 locations in New Jersey. I'm here with our Director of Talent Development, Vincenza Cruz, and we're here to get committed, or get connected, because we are committed. There's few higher callings than the commitment to join the armed forces, and the commitment to duty and sacrifice to the country that veterans make. They place themselves in harm's way every single day. They're separated from home and family and their country. At the same time, they're protecting us and affording us the freedoms which we enjoy back here. And they make huge sacrifices along the way. Some make the ultimate sacrifice. And we simply, as employers, have not done enough and do not do enough with those returning veterans. And we're going to put a stake in the ground today and say that that changes today. We would like every returning veteran to know, whether they're a wounded warrior or not, that we have 350 open positions right now at Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield in New Jersey, and we want them to know that they're at the very top of our opportunity list going forward. And we'd like to know how to get even more connected so that as we have wounded warriors, we're able to get involved with them early on during their rehabilitation so that they know they have a viable job, a great opportunity, an employer that's going to work with them, meet some of the intricate needs they may have, work with Magellan on some of the behavioral issues they may have, and Renee, we really appreciate your stand-up commitment in that vein. But they know that they can come to Horizon and start a career and develop a career with us that will take them as far as they want to go. And hopefully that early involvement and knowing that they have a place to go and a commitment to them will help with their rehabilitation and help within their transition as they make that transition from service to the civilian workforce. So the purpose in being here today is very simple. We're an employer that has not done enough We do have a new slogan now. It's going to be Helmets to Horizon, so we will borrow that. But we want to know how we can make this happen and how we can build and sustain a viable connection. What does it take to get involved? Where can we make a difference? Where do we get started? What are the gaps that we have to fill? And what are other employers doing? So we very much appreciate the opportunity to be here today to get connected. We are committed. We're looking forward to working with you. So thank you, Doctor.
Thanks, Christy. Appreciate it, and appreciate Horizon's support. The Honorable Ray Jefferson is the Assistant Secretary for Veterans Employment and Training from the Department of Labor. Secretary.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me the privilege of being with you today. Mark, how are you? I apologize also for having to leave early. We have a mega hiring fair taking place in New York City tomorrow for 1,000 veterans involving a great number of the Fortune 500, and I'll talk about some of that as we go on. Let me just start by sharing a story about a businessman who was visiting New York City when he got a message to go check on some of his business operations in Europe. So he went to a bank, asked to see the loan officer, and said, I need a loan for $5,000. The loan officer said, well, for a loan that size, we're going to need some collateral. So the businessman pulls out the keys to his car. He said, here's the keys to my brand new Rolls Royce. It's parked right out front. Fills out the paperwork. The loan officer said everything checks out, gives the businessman his loan for $5,000, takes the keys of the car, gives it to a bank employee who drives the car around out back and parks in the bank's underground parking garage. A couple of weeks later, the businessman returns from Europe, asked to see the loan officer, said, sir, here's your $5,000 back, here's your $15 interest, thank you very much. The loan officer says, not so fast, not so fast. After you left, we did a little research on you, and we learned that you're actually a multimillionaire. Why does a multimillionaire need a loan for $5,000? And the businessman said, I didn't get to become a multimillionaire without having some foresight and creativity. How else do you get 2 weeks of secured parking in New York City for only $15? Now, I share that with you because that's what we're working to do as your Veterans Employment and Training Service at the U.S. Department of Labor, to bring foresight, creativity, innovation, and partnership to veterans employment. We have three primary responsibilities. The first is to provide service members and veterans access to meaningful and successful careers. How are we doing that? And how can you connect? First of all, we're doing 100 mega hiring fairs around the country right now in partnership with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and employer support of the Guard and Reserve. We kicked these off in May. The first one in Chicago had 200 veterans hired in the first day. We're doing another one tomorrow on the Intrepid with over 1,000 veterans, over 100 employers there. We expect similar results. You can go to the Joining Forces website or NBC, because NBC is going to be advertising this with their special on the home front, or the U.S. Chamber of Commerce website. Any of these will list the upcoming mega hiring fairs. It's an opportunity to loop in when these are taking place all around the nation. We also have a state director in every state and 2,000 employment representatives around the nation. So if you go to our website, dol.gov/vets, dol.gov/VETS. You can go there. We have a locator for all 2,000 employment representatives around the nation, as well as our state directors. You can call our state director, let him or her know you're interested in hiring veterans, and they can help make that connection for you. We have a Job Corps pilot for veterans 20 to 24 years old, the cohort with the highest unemployment. This provides round-trip transportation to a Job Corps site, housing, a stipend, meals, everything provided for, leading to a lifelong credentialer certificate, a job, and 21 months of post-employment support. We have a pilot for 300 slots. Over 230 men and women are enrolled so far. We would be grateful for your assistance. If you would like us to get that information to you, please just let us know. We have some information that you can send out. The number one way that these men and women hear about the program is through friends and family. So if you know a young veteran who is looking for an avenue to career advancement and maybe out of hopelessness, this is a very powerful resource. We have a rural veterans outreach program. It's a pilot beginning in Washington State. We're hoping to get 10% of veterans to participate. That was our success metric. We have over 90% veteran participation. Our vision is to move this into 6 states in phase 2. I don't personally have the resources to do that. We're looking to see if we can partner with another government agency to bring this pilot into phase 2 in 6 states and then give it to them so they can make it national afterwards. One story, a veteran, he'd given up on himself, was living in the woods in Washington State. I'm told living off the land, living out of a tent. We found him through this rural veteran outreach program, got him into a paid on-the-job training course, I believe by Microsoft, and he's now employed, has a job from the floor of the woods to a condo. That's the power of these programs. We have a tremendous homeless veterans reintegration program that we do with our partners at HUD and VA. I want to acknowledge Mark Johnston, who's here from HUD, and also our colleagues at the Department of Veterans Affairs. In these mega hiring fairs, these 100 mega hiring fairs, we're working to make a concerted effort to make sure that homeless veterans in these local areas are looped in. Now, when we travel around the country and we assemble rooms full of employers, I ask 2 questions. Number 1, how many of you would like to hire veterans? And almost every hand goes up. And then I say, how many of you know how to find veterans? And that's when the hands stay down. And so we are working with the Society for Human Resource Management and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Prudential and J.P. Morgan Chase to create for the first time ever a HR toolkit that will be free of charge to all employers, CEOs, HR executives, to give you information on how to find veterans, how to translate their resumes, how to onboard them, and the HR best practices to ensure they're retained as long-term, highly contributing team members. And we also, so that's all under our mandate of providing access to meaningful and successful careers. 2 other quick points. 1, preparing service members for meaningful and successful careers. Could you raise your hand if you've heard about the TAP Transition Assistance Program? So have some folks in the room? Okay, thank you. This is a program which is 19 years old, has not been modernized or re-engineered in 19 years old. It was a great program when it started 19 years ago, but now it's 186 PowerPoint slides with outdated content. You can imagine if you send your son or daughter to college, she shows up the first day of class, and there's the syllabus, 1991. You'd probably want your money back. Well, our service members don't get that opportunity, but what we are doing right now is we're revamping that program from the ground up and completely transforming it. We're on track to have that done by Veterans Day. We have identified the major problems with it. I'll just say, for example, right now it's one size fits all. If you're a colonel with a master's degree, you may be sitting next to a E3 private first class with a high school diploma. Neither individual gets what they need. So we're going to go to pre-work to assess people on their readiness for employment. We're going to segment them into highly ready, moderately ready, entry level. We're going to bring them to the program as a cohort that has the same employment readiness needs. We have best practice content like mental resiliency training, stress reduction techniques, life and career planning, how to transition from a military to a civilian work environment, peer support techniques, entrepreneurship. All of this is the new best practice content. We're getting away from the 180 PowerPoint slides and going to experiential learning, adult learning principles. We're going to do something that's never been done before, after TAP support. How many of you in this room have bought an iPhone, a Droid, a new laptop in the last year or so, and spent a lot of time on the phone afterwards with technical support? They become your new best friend? Well, we're bringing that concept into TAP. So each service member is going to leave TAP with an individual transition plan. And for 60 days after they graduate, they'll be able to get customized coaching to make progress on their individual transition plan, never been done before. All of this content will be available online 24/7 for free to all veterans, spouses, wounded warriors, Guard, Reserve, transitioning service members. And finally, performance metrics. After 19 years and 2.5 million people going through this program, we have 0 performance metrics. So going forward, we're going to get performance metrics when they graduate, when they apply the content, and when they found a job. So we're on track to have that redesign done by Veterans Day.